Well, hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and this is the return. It's a working mom interview series. This is episode 3 of the series, and I feel like we're really getting into the heart of the series now. If you are new here, welcome. This series is 6 real conversations with working moms about what it actually feels like to go back to work after having a baby. Go back and start at episode 1 with Terica. Her episode was released on May 12th. When you're done here, it would be really good to go back and listen to that. But right now, let me tell you about today's guest. Maddie is a pediatric occupational therapist on the East Coast, and she is the first twin mom that I've had on the show. Her girls are 10 months old, and she went back to work when they were just 3 months old. And not only did she go back, she actually switched specialties entirely at the same time, from working with older adults in home health to working with kids in a clinic, on top of being a brand new mom of twins. Yes, it's a lot. What I love most about Maddie is the quiet steadiness that she brings to all of it. She's a go with the flow person in the best way, but this episode goes to some really tender places too, particularly around missing milestones and what it actually means to grieve the moments that you don't get to witness. There's a part of this conversation that got me a little emotional and even gives me goosebumps now. And I think it might get you there too. So let's get into it. Well, hi, Maddie. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. I'm excited to talk to you because I haven't talked to any other twin moms yet. And I also haven't talked to any other OTs yet. So I'm going to ask you lots of questions. But first of all, will you just introduce yourself, kind of like who you are, what you're like? Obviously, I already said that you're a twin mom and an OT, but just give us the rundown.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Melissa. So, you said I'm an OT. I graduated in 2023, and I've worked in a couple different settings. Previously worked in older adults, and now I'm in a pediatric clinic.
Okay. Went from one extreme to the other.
Yes. Yeah, both ends of the lifespan. And I'm a twin mom. I have 2 10-month-old girls. They're amazing.
That is so fun. So what developmental stage are they at right now? Like, what are they doing at 10 months old?
Okay, so they're pulling to stand. They are loving standing. They're eating some purees and solids. They are trying to do things with both hands.
Okay.
Reaching, grabbing, waving, clapping. It's so cute.
It is so fun. And they have like a built-in friend from the very beginning.
Yes, though right now they mostly take each other's toys. It's like one of them will be holding a toy and moving it around, and the other one's like, that's really cool. I want that now.
You'll get extra practice and sharing. Okay, tell us like maybe 2 fun facts about you that maybe most people wouldn't know.
Sure. I'm really bad at answering fun facts about myself, but I'll do my best. So it's being a twin mom, it's fairly rare to have like spontaneous fraternal twins. But lucky us, we are now down to a 1 in 4 chance of having twins again.
Oh, wow.
So that's a fun fact about twins. And then what about me? I grew up in the Midwest and transplanted down to the East Coast, which is kind of a pretty big like culture shift. But we adapt and find interesting things to do wherever we are.
Nice. I think that's a good way to approach life in general. It's like wherever you are, find fun things to do, make life fun. You know, it's short, so enjoy it wherever you are.
Exactly.
Nice. Okay, so have you gone back from maternity leave?
Yes. Yep. I went back when the girls were three months old.
Okay, you've been back for about 7 months.
Yep.
All righty. So I guess just tell me, well, I guess first a little bit about what your job looks like. Like, are you a 40-hour-a-week kind of position? What do your hours look like? Kind of run me through what a typical day is.
Yeah. So for me, I'm doing 40 hours. It's kind of split up in different chunks throughout the work days.
Okay.
So I go in late Mondays. I have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that are longer days. And then Friday is another shorter day. so I can like
Okay.
fit in appointments for myself and the girls on Mondays and Fridays.
It is so nice to have that flexibility. And the more I talk to moms, the more I'm, especially moms with little ones, you have to have a job that has that
Mhm.
flexibility or you'll go crazy. So it's
Yes.
good that you have that. And also, I should note, Maddie, so I'm familiar with OT just because I work in healthcare, but
Mhm.
also I had a position working in a post acute rehab facility in a hospital system. And so OT was part of our team approach. But I know there's going to be a lot of people listening who have no idea what OT even stands for and what it is. So can you explain
Yeah,
that
of
real quick?
course. Yeah, so OT stands for occupational therapy. And you can think of OT as helping you do the things that you need to do and want to do throughout the day and throughout your life. So
Yes.
these include things like everything from are you physically able to get out of bed in the morning to do you have the coordination to write your name and do your schoolwork? And then in pediatrics, working with kids, we really emphasize the occupation, which is something that occupies our time, the occupation of play, because that is how children learn to engage with the world. That's how they learn how things work, how to interact with other people, how they build their sense of self, and how they get ready for everything that life has to tackle them. It's through play.
Yes. I love it. It's funny because when you were describing what the girls are doing right now, just the language and how you talk about it, I was like, oh, yes, definitely an OT. It's just how you view the world, right? Of
Yeah.
your ability to do things and how you're using your body to make it happen. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that's fun. Okay. So now that we have an idea of kind of what you do, give us a kind of a rundown of what it looked like when you went back to work, back when they were only 3 months old. That first week, kind of what were you expecting? And then were there any surprises when you got there?
Went back to work on hard mode. I actually switched settings after maternity leave. So that's when
Okay.
I switched from working with older adults while I was pregnant to working with pediatrics after the girls were born.
So you
So,
made that switch when you came back?
yes. So, and here's why I promise I'm not just a masochist. It was when working with older adults, I was doing home health, and it
Okay.
was the scheduling could be a little bit unpredictable because
Okay.
you have to manage your own schedule. I've never been really good at the administrative part of the job. It's all about the hands-on part for me. And
Okay.
so I wanted to switch to a setting where it was more predictable, where I could have like a set schedule. Someone else would do the scheduling and figure out everything with insurance for me. So my first week back was full of a lot of changes.
Uh-huh.
And looking back, like, I was a little bit nuts for trying to change everything at that point, but I adapted, made it through. I work with a really, really great team, people with a lot of different strengths, and I feel like I bonded pretty quickly with a couple people at work, especially.
That's great. I could see how switching into a role where you don't have to worry about all of that extra stuff, even though it's a change, would feel like a major relief. So I'll give you that. I could
Definitely.
definitely see how that was a big help and just having more structure because, yes, we need the flexibility, but having a structure that you can count on and know that you're going into each day definitely is helpful.
Yeah, that was my whole reasoning for going into it because I knew that I would have to devote a certain amount of my brain to, like, family logistics now because that's a big life
Mhm.
change, so I needed to offload, delegate some responsibility to another person.
Yes. And I'm also just thinking back about, well, I guess I'll ask, did the girls go to daycare
Yes,
or
they go
how do,
for a couple days per week. My husband works for tens, so
okay.
he is in full dad mode on Fridays, and then my mom takes them
Okay.
on Mondays.
Okay. Nice. So they were around others sometimes, and then you had them with family sometimes. When mine was little and we first started daycare, there was a lot of sick days and needing to take off and trying to figure that out. And I'm just thinking about having two of them, how that like multiplies how often that
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah, so it doesn't you might be surprised it doesn't actually multiply it that much because they tend to
Okay.
get sick at the same time.
Okay, that's fair.
That's how the universe sort of balances out that challenge, though it is hard to have 2 sick babies at a time.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, just everything with 2 at a time is
Mhm.
tricky, but it sounds like you have a good support system too, and you said that the the folks that you were working with, they were supportive and understanding, and that can make all the difference, the people that you work with, whether you like them or don't like them, so that's good.
Yeah, and our practice owner she's a mom herself, and she completely understands, and that's
Mhm.
part of why I wanted to work for her in particular is because during our interview process, she was like, she really emphasized, work-life balance, um, totally understood, like, the demands of motherhood while working in the healthcare field, so it was really wonderful.
Good, that makes such a big difference. When you think about that transition of going back, was there a certain part of you that felt the biggest challenge? I like to break it down into like your body, physically, mentally, just like your understanding of who you are and yourself, and then like spiritually, how you're making meaning in life and things like that. Was there one part that felt more difficult than the others?
Think one part is sort of changing where I get meaning in life. So
Hmm.
I'm a very like hands-on, like crafting type of person. I love to like
Okay.
make art with my hands. I have, as you can see behind me, lots of art supplies. And that's really where I like would spend my time recharging.
Hmm.
And that's very different when you've got babies around because they're the ones who are taking up your time and your energy. So I think
Yeah.
that just shifting the way that I spend my recharging time has been a big challenge, trying to find out what my identity is as a mom and adjacent to being a mom.
Yeah. Tell So I'm curious, what kind of arting do you like to do?
Um, for the past couple years, I've been really into crochet.
Okay.
So I've been made a couple baby blankets. I've made different types of wearables, but I really like just learning different types of stitches. For me, making art mostly is about the process,
Yeah.
like delving into something with my hands and my brain.
Yeah, it's a mindfulness practice. I mean, it gives you something, especially something like crochet or knitting, where you're focused on what you're doing right in front of you and having to turn everything else off for a moment and just focus on that. And the counting, I mean, everything, it's really good for you. I'm not into it. I learned how to knit way back when my mom taught me, but my sister has recently gotten into it and it's all she does right now.
Mhm.
She doesn't have children though, so she has more
Yeah.
time to do it. And I think, I have other art stuff, but that's been a challenge of figuring out how do I work that back in and allow myself to still have fun and enjoy things, but then maybe there's fun and enjoyment in other ways that involve my little one, you know?
Mhm.
It's tricky. Okay, so what do you wish that someone had told you as you were going back and making that transition? Was there anything where you got back and you thought, "Oh my goodness, this would have been good to know about?"
Honestly, nothing. Sorry, nothing really comes to mind for me for that.
Okay.
I feel like I'm the type of person who just goes with the flow for the most
Okay.
part.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does that mean that you felt prepared or was it just, "We're gonna figure this out as we
I
go"?
think that I had peace about not feeling prepared, and
Mhm.
I tried to be just very open to the learning, the new logistics and interactions with new people at work.
So you have that mindset at work, and obviously that's been really helpful, especially as you switch to a new position or a new role of we're just going to figure this out as we go. I'm curious, do you have that same mindset as a mom too?
I think I do, but also I have some pediatric experience prior to this job, in a
Okay.
different field, and we also learned some child development things in grad school, and I've babysat, had nanny experience, so even though every child is different, I think, having some of that just foundational knowledge helped me identify, like, some different things that my daughters were at and what they needed and
Hmm.
when to make certain changes in their routines.
Can you give me an example of that?
Here's a basic one. So when they started getting a little bit more mobile, we got some foam climbing blocks, like various things for them to learn how to like sit up and reach for things that we put on the blocks. And then as they grew and developed a little more, they'd start climbing onto the blocks, then using
Sure.
the blocks to pull up. So just getting prepared for the next like stage of growth, play and development that they were getting into.
It's tricky having that knowledge from a like a book perspective, right? Your
Mhm.
training or even work perspective, and then allowing it to inform your parenting without taking over, making you worried about things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that occupational therapy is helpful in that regard because like you are to some extent you are like analyzing and assessing what your kids are doing, but
Mm.
every single child that you see throughout the workday is different from each other and different from your
Sure.
kids. So you really just for every child you see throughout the day, your own kids and your work kiddos, you just approach them with the foundational knowledge and apply
Mhm.
where they're at individually.
Yeah, that's a good approach to take. And I would think especially with twins, like you have kind of a twin study in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to remember that they're not competing with each other, they're each going to do, things at their own pace. One of them's going to be really good at talking first, the other one will be really good at the movement first, like, and that's okay that they're on their own journeys. And so for you to get to see that play out at work with pediatrics, I mean, seems like it goes along together well.
Yeah, just trying to go with the flow and meet the children where they are,
Yeah,
whatever relationship I have with those children.
yeah. So, one of the things that OT and really any healthcare helping profession looks at is taking care of other people, right? So, when you go to work, you are present and available to help the patient that's in front of you. And that requires you to be able to I'm hesitant to say turn off your brain about things at home because you can't fully do that, but you are focusing on what's going on in front of you. Did you feel like that was a challenge to go into a position where you're serving and taking care of someone else when you've got all this new chaos and change at home?
That was definitely a skill that I had to develop. Being on maternity leave, you are like 100% in baby mode, in new
Mhm.
parent mode. And it was really hard to try and just switch into being back into being OT mode when I
Mm,
got back to work. But at my breaks and lunches, I would call my husband who took his parental leave a little bit later, so he could
okay,
be with the girls while I started work. So I'd
nice.
call them and get updates, and he'd send me pictures. That helped a
Yeah,
lot.
definitely helps. Thank goodness for FaceTime.
Yes.
I don't know what moms did before they had that because it's really nice to be able to do that. And we didn't have mine was at daycare, so we didn't have like a way for me to call and FaceTime, but they would send me pictures throughout the day,
Oh, I love
and that
that.
helped. So I was like, I'll take what I can get. So a lot of times when you go back, people will ask, how you're doing. Um, and it's common for moms to say, oh, things are good, or want to do kind of like the highlight reel. Have you ever had a situation where someone asked how it's going and you say the polite answer, but in the background there's something else that you really want to say?
Yes.
And if it's a yes, which you're nodding saying yes, would you be open to sharing what that is? Like what's the real experience like?
A real experience. Like, sometimes I'm going to work and I'm running off of, like, 4 hours total of sleep, and so in my head, I'm thinking, like, "Today feels kind of like a nightmare," but I'm here, you gotta leave it at the door when you get to work if you're in the healthcare field,
Yeah.
and you just gotta take that switch.
The skill of being able to kind of reset before you get into the clinic. What does that look like for you?
So I'm thinking about this morning because I was running late and I was cranky, I was tired, the one of our daughters is teething, so she's not sleeping very well, so I was up with her. And so I was literally like feeling cranky as I was walking up to my building, and then paused outside the door, deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and
Yeah,
tried to flip that switch in my brain, and I did.
that's awesome. It's so relatable. 'Cause
It's
you're
hard.
just like, but I have to be here and I can do this.
Yes.
But there's a lot of like self-talk that goes into it.
So much. Yeah.
What are you telling yourself when you say I flipped the switch or I tried to flip the switch and then I was able to do it? Like, what are the words that you're telling yourself in that moment?
You think about it for a second.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so before grad school, I also worked in healthcare. I was a vision therapy tech.
Okay.
So did that for about 7 years after undergrad. So
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of practice of flipping the switch. It feels a little more automatic at this point. It's
Okay.
more of a feeling, I would say, rather than self-talk. And
Okay.
it's kind of like, you kind of like physically like give yourself a little shake.
Mm.
It's like shaking your grumpy mood from the forefront of your brain to the back, and you could deal.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, even when you said, you're taking the deep breath, which we know that can help reset the brain, but also the physical movement of rolling your shoulders back. I mean, you're physically changing your posture
Yeah.
and saying, okay, I'm going from being like grumpy, frustrated, tired to, okay, I'm on. There is a very physical act of doing that. And it's mental too, but it's the whole package of, I'm just guessing here to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's the sense of like, okay, I'm at work now. I need to be professional, or patients deserve to have somebody who is available to them. Or sometimes for me, it's, okay, my coworkers are going to see me come in right now. I need to make sure that I'm like have got
Mhm.
it together so I look like things are okay, even though we all know that I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and I'm exhausted, but here we are. So like it's all of that combined.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like to think of it like,
It, it's a
what if this were my child who was getting occupational therapy from this person? How would I want them to be around my child?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It really puts you into that position of being a servant, having a servant heart, right? And being there to take care of somebody, not because you have to.
Yes, but just because that's where our hearts are.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we got into this field to help. And I
Yes.
also think that there's a certain layer of, well, I'll just speak for myself and then you can tell me if it relates for you too. But because what I'm doing has meaning and purpose, and I know that I'm helping, it gives me a reason to be away from my baby.
Yes, I feel like if I had a job in a different kind of field, it would not have as much meaning for me.
Yeah. Like if I was crunching numbers all day, I'd be like, forget this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to take me away from my baby, make it worthwhile.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you were running late this morning. Welcome to the club. We all do. Can you walk me through just like what a normal morning routine looks like for y'all as a family with twins and getting ready to get out the door?
Yeah. So I do my best. On the best day, I wake up around 6:15. The girls are usually still asleep at that point, so I go through my morning routine. Again, on a perfect day, I like grab my clothes for the next day and then lay them out, and then I'm got that prepared. I also have sort of like a uniform that I wear. I don't wear scrubs, but I wear like kind of athletic joggers and a t-shirt. It's usually
Okay.
occupational therapy themed.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
so I basically grab like something from my pants drawer, something from my shirt drawer, and that's all I have to do. Then after I'm ready, go and wake up the girls, get them changed, bring them downstairs. I can still carry both of them at the same time.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
glad that I'm able to do that still. We hang out in the playpen for a little bit and play and cuddle. I give them their breakfast, usually like just their morning bottle and maybe like a little teething cracker. So we're not
Mhm.
quite on breakfast meals yet.
Yeah.
Then I pack them up, get in the car, drop them off at daycare, which is on the way to work. Then I get to work and start my day.
Very nice. Yep. Just another morning. But I love the intentionality of, the night before of planning ahead and When I love my future self, I also do that, but it is rare.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
when I'm feeling like I don't wanna do some kind of chore or like I wanna procrastinate on it, I try to reframe it as, like, doing something nice for future Maddie. Sometimes it works,
Mhm.
but sometimes I still procrastinate.
Yeah, it is a good reframe though. Like this isn't something that I have to do now. It's something that future me will really appreciate.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then, like, when I, like, have done a chore, like, the previous day, I try to, like, look back and say, "Thank you, past Maddie." Like, that was worth
Yes,
it.
exactly. Remind yourself why it feels so good now and try to encourage yourself to do it again. That's what every time I have to do laundry, it's what I tell myself. I will be
Yeah,
so thankful I have clean clothes tomorrow.
and then I folded my clothes.
The worst part.
Ugh.
Actually, putting them in the washer isn't bad. It's taking them out of the dryer that is the
Mhm.
annoying part. Yeah, having to do that. Before we go any further, I want to tell you about one of my favorite finds as a working mom, and honestly, as someone who loves giving a really good gift to another mom. We're Amma makes jewelry and gifts designed specifically for moms. And I'm not just saying this because I actually have and love their cocoon and the halo necklace. And I reach for both of them all the time. They're beautiful, they're meaningful, and they feel like something that you actually choose for yourself rather than something that just ended up in your cart at 11 p.m. because we all know what that's like. They have so much more than what I personally have. Their new mama bundle is a wonderful gift if you know someone who just had a baby, great for a baby shower gift. And they just dropped a beautiful new color called Rose in the cocoon, which I'm very into. They have a new half moon necklace too that's on my wish list. And there's truly something for every mom over there. So you can shop everything at wearealma.com/Melissa, or you can use the code Melissa for 15% off of your order. And that's on top of any sales that they're having already. Full transparency, I do earn a small commission when you shop through my link, which helps keep this show going. So thank you in advance if you do. And let's get back to the conversation. Okay. So if you think ahead, speaking of past and future, Maddie, if you think about like a year from now, when the girls are toddlers, full blown toddlers, almost two, what will you want to look back and say, man, I really handled that well, or I'm glad I did it that way, or just how I cherish this? Like, what do you want to be able to say about how you handled this season?
Well, I want to be able to feel like I didn't miss any of their big milestones, and I wanna be able to give myself grace if I did.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. That was hard for me too. So they're pulling up, they're getting ready for their first steps, right? I'll share a little story and then I want to hear kind of how you frame all of this. So it was always an issue. Anytime you have kids in daycare, someone else is taking care of your child. I think this is a challenge. But I remember specifically one day I was picking up my son from daycare and another child took steps and it was like a big deal to the daycare workers that that just happened. And I realized, and it gives me goosebumps now just talking about this. I and the daycare workers witnessed that child's first steps. Not mom, not dad. We did. And I had a conversation with one of the girls who still takes care of my baby when we need some extra help. I said, if he does a milestone here, don't tell me because I want to see it at home for the
Mhm,
first time and I want it to be special for me. So she started doing things like she would say, have y'all been practicing this? And like she wouldn't tell me that something happened, but I could tell we were close. And that was
mhm.
my way of trying to like keep it special for us, even if
Yeah.
it wasn't his first time doing something. So just that's my story. But what have you been doing or how are you handling that?
Yeah, so I think we're trying to be realistic about it, like, they're spending, 3 days a week there, and it's more likely than not that they'll hit some milestones there, but, if we don't get to see the first one, at least we get to see the rest of them, the rest of the times that they
Yeah.
walk, stand, say their first words.
Yeah. I'll just ask you this. Why do you think we put so much pressure on ourselves as moms, as parents to see the first? Like, why is it so
Mhm.
special?
I think that sorry, I'm getting a little kind of emotional.
Don't apologize. This is
It is,
heavy.
yeah.
This is Maddie, this is one of the reasons that I hear over and over again. Moms tell me this is why they leave their jobs because they're afraid of missing the first.
Yeah, and, like, that is completely valid. I think
Yeah.
we put so much emphasis on it because it's like it's outright evidence that our child is growing up. It's right before
Mm-hmm.
that first time is the last time that they're in the the younger stage of that milestone. If our babies have to grow up, at least we wanna watch them do it.
Yeah.
So it is hard to make peace with missing some of those first times.
Yeah. It's such a joy. Like the tears, the pain, it comes from a place of missing the
Yeah,
joy, and you're a smart woman. Like you've done a lot of education, you've done a lot of work, like you've made it to this point in your career, you know your stuff. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess you've never experienced something quite like being a
definitely
mom
not.
and having that.
No, it's incredible. Yeah, when the girls were born and we held them for the first time, it's like your heart just grows unimaginably large.
Yeah. There's nothing like it.
Nothing in the
There's
world.
absolutely nothing
Yeah,
like
it's magic. It's pure magic.
it. It is. And and so the thought of missing out on any of it is incredibly
Yeah,
painful. So, yeah, don't apologize for that. It's very, very appropriate. I think that's the part that I like working on the mom guilt piece for myself and with other moms. It's not that we have to deny that or pretend like it's not there. It's finding a way to keep going
yeah,
anyway, So like y'all said, you may not get to see the very first one, but you get to see the rest of them and you get to celebrate them when you do see them. So it's finding a way to reframe it and have gratitude for the parts that you do get
yeah,
together.
and we get to see our own version of the first time they do something, like, it's the first time doing it at
Exactly. That's what I
home,
had to tell
it's the
myself.
first time doing it in front of
Yeah.
us.
Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, you might have taken that step because you wanted that ball at daycare, but you're taking that step to me
Yes,
because you want to come to me. That's
yes,
special.
that's the magic.
Yeah, it is. But it is hard. I want to take a quick second to speak to a very specific mom. If you are listening to these conversations and these stories, and a part of you is thinking, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, I want you to know that I see you, I understand, I get it. And that feeling is not a weakness. It is a signal that something needs to change. And it doesn't have to mean walking away from your career in order to change it. That is exactly what a clarity call with me is for. It's a free conversation where we figure out together what's actually going on, what's getting in the way, and what a real path forward looks like for you specifically. It's not generic advice, it's not a sales pitch, just an honest conversation with someone who works with moms in this exact place every day. We'll get on a call. We'll talk about your situation. If I think I can help, I'll let you know. If I think there's another option that's better, I'll let you know that too. So if that is you, the link to book is in the show notes. It takes 30 seconds and it might be the most important 30 seconds that you spend this week. Now let's get back to the conversation. So, a year from now, Maddie will be able to say you had grace with yourself for those times where you weren't maybe there for the first, but you got to enjoy the other
Yes.
part. I like that. Okay. What kind of advice, encouragement, words of support would you give another OT or just a new mom who's in healthcare, who's getting into all of this, maybe with twins? What would you want to tell her?
Yes, I think advice that I'd give a new mom in healthcare is give yourself the same amount of grace, patience, and understanding that you would give to one of your own patients in the same situation. Like, we tend to be so much harder
Mhm.
on ourselves than
Mhm.
on other people. I feel like that's especially
Yeah.
common in healthcare because I think a lot of us have like a lot of self criticism, and maybe some of us try to counter
Mhm.
that by being in like a giving, caring field. So we have to
Mhm.
we have to turn that grace back on ourselves. I'd say I think a lot of us in the healthcare field have a lot of like self-criticism. We try to kind of counter that with like deliberately doing something to help other people. So my advice would be to try and turn some of that compassion and grace back on yourself because you too are entering a different stage of your life. That's a good thing, but it is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the reframe. So a lot of times in therapy, we'll talk about like, how would you treat a best friend or, what advice would you give a best friend kind of
Yeah.
thing and give that same kind of attention to yourself. But for those of us who are in healthcare, it's helpful to think not even of a friend, but of your patient.
Mhm.
We have so much compassion and patience with them and understanding and we should absolutely extend that to ourselves as well. But it is hard and we all got into it for a reason, right? And sometimes it's easiest to focus on the person in front of you that you're taking care of instead of your own stuff at home.
Yeah.
And any areas where you feel like you're failing or you're not doing a good enough job, if you can set that aside and focus on the patient, then you feel really good about that. I think that's a big one for healthcare workers. So yeah, so that's good. So you'll work on that for yourself. And for other moms who are getting into this, they need to know to work on that for themselves too. Maddie, do you share about your journey anywhere? I know you're on Threads. That's where I found you. Do you want to share with listeners kind of where they can find you or follow along with your journey?
Sure. I'm thinking about starting an OT related like account. So whenever that launches, the tentative handle is called Accessing Childhood.
I love that. You have enough experience. You have a love for it. You should absolutely share that and provide a resource. So I love that idea.
Thanks.
All right. Any final thoughts or things that you want to share before we sign off?
No, I just thank you for the open, like heartfelt conversation. It was really good.
Yeah, thank you, Maddie, for joining me and trusting me enough to be able to share your story. And I think each situation is unique. And if there's one mom out there who can hear something about their experience from someone else and know that they're not alone, like that's the whole purpose of doing
Yeah,
this.
that's one big reason why I wanted to come on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing it. And thank you for sharing and being so open and vulnerable. And yeah, I appreciate you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks for providing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to pause just for a second. If you've been listening to these stories, Terica's, Jess's, and any of the women in this series, and something in you keeps saying, yes, that is me. I feel that too. I want you to know that I hear you and I'm building something just for you. It's called the Calm Mom Workshop. Calm stands for clarify, alleviate guilt, leverage capacity, and maintain alignment. It's the exact method that I use with my private coaching clients to help working moms stop feeling like they're failing at everything and start actually feeling like themselves again. The workshop is 2 days. It'll be live on Zoom happening late summer 2026. We're going to go through the whole method together, the identity piece, the guilt piece, the practical day-to-day piece, all of it. And at the end, I'm going to show you what it looks like to keep going. Registration isn't open yet, but I want you to be on the wait list so that you hear about it first and get early pricing when we do open it. The link is going to be in the show notes. It takes about 30 seconds to get yourself on that wait list. Go get your name on the list and then come right back here. Well, I just adore Maddie. That conversation about the milestones, about the fact that even if someone else sees the first one, you get to see your own version of the first time. I keep thinking about that. It was such a good reframe that I genuinely needed to hear. So here's what stood out to me from this episode. Takeaway number one, sometimes the most strategic move is to simplify, not push through. Maddie switched to a role with more structure and predictability, specifically because she knew she needed to offload mental energy to make space for motherhood. That is not settling, that is pure wisdom. Knowing what you need and designing your work life around it is one of the most underrated things a working mom can do. Takeaway number two, the fear of missing milestones is really a fear of time moving without you. Maddie named it so beautifully. right before a first is the last time they're in that younger stage. That's what makes it hurt so much. And the reframe she offered is one I want you to hold on to. You get to see your own first, the first time they do it for you at home, reaching for you. That one is yours to hold on to and to treasure forever. Takeaway number 3, give yourself the same grace you would give a patient. Maddie said this as advice for other healthcare moms, and I think it's the most useful thing on the whole episode. We are so quick to extend patience and compassion to the people that we serve, and so slow to turn any of it back on ourselves. You are also someone who deserves that care. Takeaway number 4, peace about not feeling prepared is its own kind of preparation. Maddie didn't feel ready to go back. She just had peace about not being ready and went anyway. There is something really freeing about that, releasing the idea that you have to feel confident before you can move forward. You don't. You just have to go. So if this episode spoke to you, please follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching, so you don't miss what's coming. Share it with a mom friend who needs it. Honestly, just think of one person right now and send it to her. And if you'd leave a review, it genuinely helps more women find this show, and that's what matters so much to me. Next week, I sit down with Jordan. She's a co-founder and director of operations in Arizona, went through one of the most harrowing birth experiences I've heard in this whole series, and then had to fight to protect her maternity leave on top of it. Her episode is important, it is honest and hard, and ultimately really hopeful, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So take care of yourself. Until next time, be well, and I'll see you next week.